Hey guys, it's Queen Cat with Hart-Felt Media, and we are at the Face Behind the Brand where we interview dope entrepreneurs. We definitely have a dope entrepreneur right here.
Ah,
Hello, Mr. Wilson. How are
hey,
you?
hey, hey, Kate, thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm the face behind the brand. We feel like you're the best representation of yourself. So, in a few words, tell us who you are, what you do, and why people should, book with you.
Everyone should book with me. Good question. So, name's Wilson Akinonu. One thing I like to start when I talk to people is I like to start with my personal story. So, I'm Nigerian. I
Okay.
was born in the States, moved back to Nigeria, lived there most of my life, came back to United States 2012. And after that, did everything my parents wanted me to do, went to school. I went to college for mechanical engineering, graduated from Georgia Tech, go Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
So I did that after graduated with a mechanical engineering degree, and I started working for a paper company currently now as a reliability engineer. But what moved me towards what I do in the insurance space was, like I said, my parents did something fantastic for me and my brother. They brought us here, and one of the things they did was they struggled with a few things financially, and like even going through that, they went ahead and put the effort, sent me and my brother to school. And although I got here, started working, did all that stuff, but I was still trying to grow myself financially, but at the same time support them back in Nigeria. And that was tough doing that from just having just the income that I had. So most of the time, what got me into the industry was just I wanted to make some extra money at the time, at the beginning.
I
But
mean, that's fair.
after being in the industry for so long, I started understanding the power of these type of products and the lack of information that a lot of people don't know about how life insurance can help them. The fact that someone sold me one of the policies that I had initially, saw that policy as a great thing, but I knew that a lot of people can get more stuff out of how these policies work and what life insurance can do for people as a whole. And I was like, yo, this is something that everybody in the United States, I believe, should have. So my mission is to go out there and educate more people on how these products work, because I feel like I've done the due diligence for myself to make sure all my clients are happy with the product that they have.
That's wonderful. So, how did you pivot from engineering, which is a totally different career, into insurance?
Yeah, good question. So engineer, I feel like in looking back now, it's well, for Nigerians, basically, it's either one of three things: either
Lawyer,
lawyer,
doctor,
doctor, engineer.
engineer.
Yeah, typically now, like I think Nigerian parents now, there are a few things now, like they're more accepting of certain things now. But at the beginning, like my dad pointed at a book when we worked at a store, and he was like, "Okay, hey." He pointed at a book. It was like petrochemical engineering. He was like, "I thought I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer for a while." When it came down to the time of okay, hey, it's time to pick your major. I picked mechanical engineering because it was like, hey, I can work with robots. And at the same time, not only that, I also saw that, hey, I'm fulfilling what my parents wanted me to do at the time, come over here, do one of the big threes. But when I first came in, I liked physics and all that stuff, but I don't like, the engineering drawings. That stuff didn't excite me. So I was just like, hey, for a while I became an engineer because I was good at it. I was good at it 'cause I was good at math, good at all that stuff. But when I got into so my dad, he's into business, what he does in Nigeria. He had his own brewery for a
Oh,
time. So
nice.
I always thought like his business side evaded me because I was wondering like, hey, he does this. I was like, did that part ever come to me? But when I got into the industry and I started looking at these products and I saw the opportunity to like, hey, in the insurance industry, I can grow up to the point to open up an office, have something that's of my own. And I have a few people that inspire me in the industry with the company that I work with. They just do some fantastic stuff. I've seen how they built offices and what the culture in the office and see what it's like. And that stuff's like, hey, I mean, I started off with engineering, but like, how would life be if I built something like they have? I built a fantastic office like these people have done, and I look at that's like following the goal of being an entrepreneur. Following entrepreneurship is like it gives me that opportunity to do something for the community, not necessarily in the United States, but Africa as a whole. I think it's more one of my goals that I've said is like I want to have a way to give back to Nigeria and the African continent as a whole by maybe, schools, more infrastructure, stuff like that. And I feel like the insurance industry can be a vehicle for me to do that versus just being an engineer. I can do more of an impact with being an insurance agent. Not necessarily engineering is good; it's a fantastic thing, but I feel like with what I want to do, I need a lot more footprint, and I think the insurance industry can help me do that.
That's good. You talked a lot about different products. What type of insurance do you actually do, and what are the products that you guys offer?
Gotcha. So typically, company that I work with, we offer a huge variety. We do more, term. We do more the permanent stuff. But one of the ones that I usually focus on is index universal life insurance, which I see like a lot of people within our age group were focusing on. Well, we're not. Some of us are not thinking more about retirement. Most people are now focusing on like, hey, how can I build wealth? All that stuff. How can I start a business, build wealth building? Not a whole lot of people are thinking about retirement now. Why I like this product in particular, and which is one of the ones I typically focus on, it lets people build cash in these type of policies. Not only that, if structured properly, just to give you a visual example, these type of policies, when the market is when we're having a fantastic market, when the market does good, you get some of the gains, but when the market does bad, you don't lose any money when the market goes down. So simplest way for people to understand that stuff. But and when they want to take out their money, they have the potential to take that out tax free, and also they can leverage the money they have in that type of policy so that if they do want to build wealth in the real estate industry, they can go ahead, use some of that money and purchase a property they're looking for. So it's those are typically the type of products that we offer in terms of insurance.
Okay, that sounds good. So what if someone, with a high debt ceiling of the United States right now and everything's going up price-wise, what would you tell somebody who wants to get life insurance but doesn't know how exactly they can pay for it?
Oh, so price of everything's going up and they can't afford, life insurance. Good question, because I see a lot of people might think like, hey, life insurance, or when they get into a pretty bad situation, they're like, their life insurance policy might be the first thing to go. So typically in that situation, advice is like, get a term policy. Term policies are not bad, and typically these type of policies, they last you for a certain amount of time. But the thing is, they're cost effective. They last you, like term policy for 100 grand costs you $10, $20. That's like the price of coffee in some places like Starbucks, right?
Leave my Starbucks alone.
Like the Starbucks coffee, like Starbucks. What else? Like maybe somewhere like my girlfriend likes this place, Akahana. Like we like to go there and get food. Like the price of that Akahana fried rice is more because it's probably like the cost of a life insurance policy. So giving up that cost one time per month, you can use that to afford a life insurance policy. And even one other thing a lot of people don't know, you can go ahead and convert in the future when hey, life's going good, I'm starting making a little bit of money. You can convert that policy or upgrade it to that permanent stuff that you wanted to buy when you did have the money. So yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Makes sense. Can we go a little deeper into life insurance? Like, what are the different terms? I know you said there was permanent, there's partial.
No.
This is why he's here.
Go ahead.
So let's go into the different terms and what each product does.
Gotcha. Good question. So let's go with typically we talk about 3 different types of insurance. Now, we normally describe it between term, we call it term and perm.
Okay.
Now, in term, as regular term policies, like, hey, I just need life insurance for a certain amount of time. So 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Now, that's the most amount of insurance that you get for the lowest amount of money you can make. So let's say we like to use the example for a 30-year-old female, this example, $500,000. She could pay, perfect health, $30 per month. That's a term policy. Now, after 30 years, if she lives longer than 30 years, the policy goes away. But if she passes away within that 30-year lifespan, then her beneficiary gets a $500,000 tax free. Now, next one, which is kind of like another term policy as well, we call it ROP. So is called return of premium. Now let me ask you a question. I know you interviewed me now. Who do you have for car insurance?
Who do I have? I think Progressive.
Progressive,
Honestly.
Progressive. That's the one that's got Flow, right? Flow,
Yes.
Lady Flow. Well, I got Stay Farm. But typically, now let's say you've been a perfect driver, all that for the next 5 years, and Flo gives you a call, and she's like, hey, because you've been a fantastic driver for so long, we'll go ahead and refund you all the money you've paid into this policy, give
Oh,
you
wow.
every single penny that you've had. Would you like it?
Yeah.
Now, what if State Farm said the same thing? Would you come over to State Farm?
I mean, if State Farm is offering more.
No. Well, unfortunately, they don't do that in car insurance. But that's the way to explain of like ROP term is if you have a term policy for a certain amount of time, and the person lives longer than that time, they get all the money they paid into it. They get all that money back.
Oh, nice.
So let's say someone had like $100,000 per month they were paying into it, lived for, they went ahead and lived for, had the policy for 30 years. Then when they have that, if they live longer than that 30-year time span, the policy goes away, but all that money they paid, they get all that stuff back, everything back. Now, and that's the power of information because a lot of people don't know those type
Yes.
of policies have, but they get that type of benefit from the partners that we work with.
Okay.
And the third part is permanent policies, stuff that lasts to the day you die. You have the potential to build cash in these type of policies.
Okay.
And the benefits are people are like everybody's looking for ways they want to keep their money in certain places. The benefit with that is you have insurance, but you also have somewhere that you can keep your cash, and that cash grows for you a few different ways. It can grow based off of the market, can grow based off of the growing potential of the insurance company, and when you want to take out that money, you don't pay taxes on it. Yeah.
So I heard a lot about taking out money. How difficult is it to take out the money that you need, and how long do you have to wait in order to be able to do that?
Good question. So typically, another thing, it depends on the company. I have a client recently now. He's looking to put around $20,000. He's trying to buy a house, trying to put a down payment on the house. So one of the benefits of that is he can have his money in an insurance company, and depending on the amount of money you have in there, they can let you have access to that, like maybe within a month or two, depending on how much money is in there. You can, and how we like to talk about it is kind of a term, I call it OPM, other people's money. So it's not like you're taking your money out. The insurance company gives you their money and has that part of your money as collateral, just in case you don't pay it back. Now you can use that money in pretty much time it takes, like, within a couple months, 1 month, but that money you can use it and do whatever you want at the time.
That is nice.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons of those three types of life insurance?
Good question. So the pros of a term, let's start with the term. Pro of a term is cost effective. It's something that, like, it's not going to cost you too much to afford. The con for that is it expires. Let's say somebody gets it as he or she is 30 years old. Now it's after 30 years, if that term expires after 30 years, at 60 years old, that policy goes away. Chances are that person might still need insurance, right? Now, if that person now that person's older, that person, health-wise, some things health-wise have dropped, they might still need more coverage, but if they go to renew the policy at that time, it's going to cost more money. So that's the point where they're going to be like, oh, shoot, I wish I probably would have got something permanent at that time. So yeah, that's the con of that part right there. Now, ROP, return of premium, kind of follows the same thing, although you get that refund after it's done. But if you do still need a policy at the time, that policy goes away. Now, in terms of permanent, most of the times I don't see one of the cons to that is because when the insurance company wants to give you the growth to your money, there's sometimes it's capped at a certain level, so you don't get a whole lot of growth on there, but your money's pretty safe. And because of compound interest, depending on how long you leave the money in there, you could see a huge amount of growth after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and that's just the beauty of the game.
That sounds good. So where do you see yourself in insurance or in engineering in 5 years?
5 years. So 5 years as an engineer, most of the time I like to see myself going more, at least in that portion, go towards the managerial side. Like, having that. I feel like being in that's one of the things that entrepreneurship has helped me see, is that, leadership is very important. Like everything rises and falls on leadership. So one thing I see myself 5 years, I want to be a leader that, place that I work, people can count on me to do the right things all the time. Even though at that point I'll still be relatively young, and typically now at my job I have people who report to me. They're old enough to be my dad, so it's typically now you have to show them like the age won't really matter, but you have to show them like you're wise enough to handle certain things that comes with that. So I want to still, use my engineering degree, but at the same time I want to be more into leadership to grow as a human being, because going through that way, that's still going to translate towards me being a father in the future. Like, want to be able to apply that to, like, leading a family, leading my girlfriend now, who's at point, we're going to get married at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's probably going to see this. She'll be like, oh, wow, he's going to fall. But, that would happen. And like, being at that level to lead her and my family up to that point. Now in insurance, what I'm looking at, I want to build an office. I want to take it as far as God can let me take it, as far, because in that office setting there's some people out there who need direction, and I have the opportunity to be in part of an office where I've seen the leaders in the office, value the agents in that office. I'll give you an example. There was one of my colleagues. He had his birthday, so it was like, after we had our training, everything was done. He went to go use the bathroom. So I saw how they brought a cake, wanted to surprise him before he came out. So I saw that and I was like, can you imagine? We just made his day today.
Right.
I don't know what he did outside of work. Maybe nobody did something like this for him, but yeah, we did this, celebrated him. I was like, can you imagine this type of environment being for a lot of people who are, not going through a few things in the United States, finding valuable places to work? Because not only do we have the opportunity to make some money, but also doing that, you also have that environment where you can enjoy and, like, grow, uplift people. So I want to have something like that to help people not only grow as individuals in terms of financial, but I want to help them grow spiritually all around, so that, when they leave or when they go do something else and stuff like that, they're happy, like, they came in contact with me, because I believe that if you're blessed with something good, you have to find a way to bless the next person.
Okay. I know you talk about leadership a lot. So what to you makes someone a good leader?
Let's see, a good leader, I would say somebody who's not just, you're not a dictator. You're someone who's willing to listen to, again, there's a fine line between, you say you want to have good relations with the people that follow you, but at the same time you also have to apply accountability. Like, there's a few books I've read. John C. Maxwell is a book. He has the five levels of leadership. One of the places you start off, because you start off as a level one leader. Level one leader is someone who just has the title. You just have the title of a leader. You just, like, hey, I'm a manager. I just got in here. You guys have to follow me. Typically, that's the weakest form of a leader. Second level is like a relational leader. So that's where, you're building relations with your people. You're making sure that you know what's going on, not too much into their life, but make sure like you know enough about them for them to feel comfortable with you. But third level, you have to know, you have to be a leader that drives results. Another thing that makes a good leader is like, you're leading from the front. You're showing you can get results on your own so that your team trusts you and they're knowing that like, hey, this is somebody I can follow. Then I'll stop at level 4. Level 4 is more, and this is a great example of a leader, you're able to build other leaders.
All right, so let's get a little personal. So, have you sold any of the products to your family members?
To my
And
family
how
members.
did you convince them
To my family members, I would say more if we're going to a close knit family. Family members are still pretty tough. I'm gonna say I'm still working on them. But my friends is because I like to think of my friends as family, especially now. Now that we've grown up to the level that we are, it's tough for friends to kind of get something from you, either unless they're pretty close to you. Like first time I got into the industry, a friend of mine, he supported me. He was my first client, so that kudos to him. Like he still supports me till now with referrals.
That's good.
The rest, most friends and family at the time, they'd have to see us that you're serious with the game, that you've been in there for a while, and that's where consistency comes into place. Because they'll look at your social media, they're like, okay, hey, he's making videos, he's putting in the work, he's following back, because there's fortune in the follow up, and like some of my friends, it's like they've seen like hey, I'm serious with this, and they're like, okay, hey, what's this thing you're talking about? I should add somebody. Followed up with him. The joke is like probably 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, we had a few appointments here and there, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's like hey, I don't see this is for me. So they, they talk like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like and I know being in the entrepreneurial space, most people, the time that they have is like marketing what they have to family. It can be pretty tough for some people or most people in general.
Yeah.
But I feel like family comes around most of the time to supporting you. But I have another guy who talked to me about this. Is like, if you want to go far, you probably should just focus on how can I hit other people, strangers at the time, because now with social media just changed the game. Like it's like
Yes.
and I know I'm going a little bit off, but it's more with social media you can like reach a whole group of people. Then at the same time, when your family sees how you're doing, then they'll be like, okay, hey, maybe I support this guy before before they blow up, before they go great.
So, I know you talked about social media. How has social media been a positive or negative impact on your business?
All right, so social media has been a positive impact because it's helped me along the line get more exposure than what I would typically have gotten without it. So an example is more since a whole lot of people are on their phones now, looking for like, hey, what's the best thing out there? And the huge thing is like, a lot of people getting on TikTok and IG, exposing different type of products. For me, it took a while for me to get into like posting reels and all of that all of that stuff because I'm naturally before I got into the industry as a pretty reserved person. I was not the easiest to be social at the time, but hey, at the point like hey, I knew what I wanted to do, I knew the why behind it, so I was like hey, let me give social media a shot. And I remember a video I shot. It was just more like a side by side, like a remix. Gave that for the first time. I saw the amount of questions I started getting for that, and I got a few. Trying to remember, I had a few appointments from that as well. So it was pretty. Just seeing like the matter of like there's a lot of people out there who need the products that I talk about, but they just need somebody who's reliable so they can ask those questions. So the more content that I put out there, I let people see that hey, I am that person that can be really reliable to answer their questions, and if they decide to do business with me, I want to give them the best service that they can get. So social media's been pretty good.
That's good. Yeah. So, what advice do you have for someone who is thinking about getting into insurance, don't know how to get into insurance? What advice would you give them?
So getting into the insurance industry. Good question. So I've been in the insurance. I got my license 2019.
Okay.
So I would say something they would need would be they gotta know that it's gonna take a little while before you make the amount, that success that you're looking for. Because another thing you gotta deal with as a person, you gotta deal with rejection. Rejection. People, a lot of people don't like rejection because it's not it doesn't feel good. It's like, it feels bad, feels horrible. Someone tells you no, you get multiple no's at a time. But you have to be prepared for that. You gotta be prepared to network. You gotta be prepared to, like, know people. You gotta be prepared to build trust. If you're not someone who's not willing to go out there and talk to people, you got to ask yourself, is this something that I can learn? Because it's a learned skill. You can learn sales. You can learn how to
Yeah.
talk to people. You can learn how to. There's a good book that's there for entrepreneurs supporting each other. It's called Give and Take. So if you read that book, you can see how can I support other entrepreneurs, but at the same time, looking forward to helping myself in the future in my products.
So, guys, once again, it's Queen Cat with the face behind the brand, where we interview dope entrepreneurs. And Wilson, we just want to thank you so much for accepting our invitation and educating everyone about the insurance world. We wish you the best. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any parting words?
Parting words I'll say for all my fellow entrepreneurs out there. I know the grind is tough. Sometimes there's a whole lot of stuff that some people don't see. Like, they see your success, but sometimes they don't see all the hardship. But you might be going through the hardship right now, but not seeing a whole lot of success. But just keep on going at it. Keep making those plays. That's what I got to say.
All right, those are great words. And once again, it's Queen Cat with the face behind the brand, sponsored by Heartfelt Media. And we'll see you guys soon.